Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over multiple different wildcard drafts, one with just Haaland, one with just Salah, and one with both Haaland and Salah. A lot of people are activating the chip this week, so I wanted to cover all bases. If you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, are you wildcarding this week, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, we're going to be taking a look at a Haaland plus Salah wildcard draft. And then we'll move on to the Haaland only draft and then the Salah only draft. So starting things off, in goal, we do have Raya and Ward. I think Raya should just be a staple on every single wildcard draft if you are wildcarding in game week 6. Whether you're going with Haaland or Salah or both of them, I think Raya is out and out the best goalkeeper to own. Obviously, Flecken is also a pretty nice option as well, but with Arsenal's defensive numbers and how good Raya has already been this season, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I understand that he is 1.1 more than Flecken, but I feel like if you go in Flecken, you're going to have an Arsenal defender anyway, either Gabriel or Saliba or both of them, and Raya is just cheaper than both of them. So for me, it just makes sense to go for a goalkeeper and a defender from Arsenal instead of just two Arsenal defenders, because you're saving money regardless. But yeah, I think Raya is just, as I say, I just can't really say better things about him. He's just such a good option. He could easily be a set and forget keeper for the remainder of the season as well. So that's Raya, and obviously Ward can be any 4 mil goalkeeper. We don't have any 4 mil goalkeeper that plays regularly this season at this moment in time, so he can really be anyone. I've just gone with somebody from Leicester because you're probably not going to own 3 Leicester players this season, and as well as that, he's so low owned that he's not really going to drop in price or anything like that. So he's a very safe 4 mil bench goalkeeper to have. You could always go with 2 4.5 mil goalkeepers if you wanted to, especially if you're going to be playing your bench boost anytime soon. But right now, I think that Raya and a 4 mil goalkeeper is definitely the way to go. So they're the goalkeepers. At the back, we've got Gabriel, Greaves, Collins. We've also got Mazraoui and also Aina as well. So Mazraoui's really just there from game week onwards. The United fixtures do get really, really good. I do understand that they do have players coming back from injury, but he has been playing really, really well, and I don't think he's going to be losing his spot anytime soon. And you're probably going to want a Man United player from game week 8 onwards, because the fixtures are just so good. So game week 8, they've got Brentford, then West Ham. They've also got Leicester, Ipswich, Everton. So from a defensive standpoint and from an attacking defensive standpoint as well, I think I'd definitely want to target a player for those fixtures. Aina's just there as well because Forest have been so good at the back this season. I'm just saying that as a Forest fan, we have been exceptional. We haven't had an XGC of over 1 in any of the first 5 fixtures, and we've played Liverpool away. So that's how good we are at the back. We do have Chelsea away coming up in game week 7, but apart from that, the fixtures are just so good for Forest. You've got Fulham at home, Crystal Palace at home. Crystal Palace obviously haven't been very good this season. We've got Leicester who haven't been good. That's more of a rivalry as well, a bit of a derby there. And also West Ham as well, that also have not been playing very well. So after that Chelsea away fixture, you've got 3 fixtures where they could easily keep a clean sheet. So I do really like the idea of having a Forest defender. Also gone Collins as well, just for a Brentford defender. There are a couple of other options you could go with, but Collins is very, very safe. A lot of people are thinking about Pinnock. Is he going to get straight back into the team? Who knows? But Collins, like I say, just a very safe 4.5 mil defender. And again, he's the same price as Flecken, but obviously you're saving the money on that Arsenal defender. So that's why I like going for a Brentford defender and the Arsenal goalkeeper. Greaves is also there as well. I do have 0 in the bank for this draft, so I can't go to like a phase or anyone like that. But if you did want to and you do have the money, then you could always do that. But I think Greaves is honestly a decent option for 4 mil. I don't think you're going to be playing him much regardless. You're much rather going to be playing somebody like Gabriel, Collins, Mazraoui or Aina over Greaves. But at the end of the day, they do have some pretty nice fixtures coming up. They've got West Ham away coming up, Everton, Leicester at home as well. So they are easily fixtures that you could play him in. You know he's a 90-minute man. So, worst case situation, he does come off the bench. Hopefully he can get you something. And then I've gone Gabriel as well. Like I said, I think double Arsenal defence is just a given on a wildcard draft. I think for Leicester, Southampton at home, I cannot see Arsenal losing a clean sheet in any of those fixtures. And maybe even Bournemouth away as well. Obviously, game week kind of 9-ish onwards, it does get a little bit worse, but at the same time, you can kind of cross that bridge when you get to it. You'll be able to save a few transfers by then. So if you did want to kind of, I guess, operate on your team with that information, then you always could do. But that's the defense and the goalkeeper, and the goalkeepers, should I say. In midfield, we've gone Saka, we've got Semenyo, Rodgers, and Mbumo and Salah. Semenyo is obviously 5.6. You can't go to Smith Rowe with this draft unless you already had him, because he's 5.8. So I do really like Semenyo for the next couple of fixtures, Southampton at home and Leicester away. Obviously, after that, they do get very, very bad. If you don't have the money for Semenyo, I think a really, really good option is also McNeil. He's actually been very, very good, even though Everton have been very, very bad. He's only 5.4 as well, so it does save you 0.2 mil in the bank if you don't have the extra money there. And if you just take a look at his numbers, really, he's obviously returned a couple of times against obviously Bournemouth and then Villa, but apart from that, his numbers are absolutely ridiculous, especially his expected assists. He's got 0.34 against Leicester, 0.87 against Villa, 0.75, 0.64, 0.16. He's got a bit of a goal threat as well, and his bonus point potential is just really, really high. So I feel like if Everton score, it's probably going to be involving McNeil or Calvert-Lewin. So if you did want to go for somebody like that, who obviously has some really nice fixtures as well, over somebody like Semenyo, then that is also a really good shout. And again, it does give you a little bit of extra money in the bank as well if you do need it. So yeah, then Rodgers and Mbeumo, obviously really, really good options. I think they should be a staple on Wildcard 6 as well. I mean, Mbeumo on penalties, numbers are really good without Tony, and also started the season pretty well as well. Rodgers, really good enabler, 90-minute Villa player. Cannot really say a bad thing about him. Did get 2 assists in the last game week, so finally returned. So really, really nice option there. And then obviously Mo Salah on this draft, because it is a Haaland plus Salah draft. I don't like the idea of going with Salah on a Wildcard 6. But again, this is just covering all bases. If you do definitely want Salah and Haaland, then this is the sort of thing you could be taking a look at. But that's the midfield, really. There's not really a lot to say about them. It's very kind of template there. Obviously, you're going to want Saka. And obviously, if you are having Salah, then you're going to need him on the draft as well. I think Mbeumo picks himself. Rodgers picks himself. That 5th spot, really, McNeil, Smith Rowe, Semenyo, that kind of can be anyone, really. I guess it depends on money as well, because they're all different prices. You know, McNeil's 5.4, Semenyo's 5.6, and Smith Rowe's 5.8. So there is a 0.4 difference there. And obviously, McNeil does have, I'd say, arguably over the long run, the best fixtures. Semenyo in the short term has really nice fixtures, but McNeil is a much safer option long term, because obviously after the first couple of fixtures after this wildcard draft, you're probably going to want to get rid of Semenyo, whereas McNeil has just nice fixtures regardless. So that's the midfield. And then up top, we've got Haaland, we've got Wood, and I've also had to bring in Raul Jimenez as well. I just don't have the funds to bring in a better striker. Like Calvert-Lewin is 6 mil. If I was to get rid of Raul Jimenez, I'd have 5.6. And I mean, to be fair, since he's got his place back in the starting 11, he's actually been very, very good. He has scored in the last 2 games. He has played 70, just over 70 in the last 2 games as well. But it looks like he has kind of pushed Muniz to the bench. And the fixtures are not the best coming up for Fulham, really. But again, he does rotate really nicely with McNeil, and also rotates nicely with Rodgers as well. Like I say, you only have to pick one of these, a couple of these 3 players every week anyway, so you can just bench him against City away and obviously play McNeil and Rodgers instead. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of, not the best position really, but there's just not really anybody else you could really go with. You could always downgrade him to a 4.5 mil striker and just have him as nobody that's going to be getting you any points, and that will give you a little bit more money, and then obviously you can maybe upgrade the defense a little bit if you wanted to. But if you want 11 playing players, then this is the kind of thing that I would go with there. But that's the first draft, really. Like I say, 0.2 mil in the bank. Obviously, you've got Wood as well. We've already spoken about him quite a bit in previous videos. But yeah, now he's on penalties instead of Gibbs White. It does definitely give his kind of it just makes him much more of a better asset to own. And he's 6.1 mil, has actually been playing all right, and obviously the Forest fixtures are really, really nice. So that's the kind of draft I would go with if I was going with Salah plus Haaland. But again, I don't like the idea of just having Salah in this draft. But either way, we're moving on to just the Salah draft now. It does change a tiny bit. Obviously, we're going big in midfield, really. I'd really like to have Trent in this sort of team. And you would be able to, I guess, get him in if you did take a hit somebody somewhere else. But at the same time, it's the same goalkeepers, really, Raya and Ward. It's the same goalkeepers for all these drafts. I just think that they are the best options to have, really. Gone for Gabriel at the back, Greaves again, gone for Faze, gone for Akanji and Aina. So Akanji, I think, is a bit of a dark horse, really. I think he will be playing for the foreseeable future, really. He hasn't missed a game yet in the Premier League. He's played 90 in every fixture as well. And obviously, after the Newcastle game, they've got Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Brighton. So some really nice fixtures there. The only issue is obviously Rodri's out, so the defensive numbers are going to be not very bad, but a lot worse without him, because he's such a pivotal part of that defensive kind of shape. And so without him, I think it will probably upset that back line. Obviously, you've still got that Pep Roulette as well, so Akanji might get benched. You could always go for Porro if you wanted to. He is 5.6. and I just have 5.6 left on this draft. So if you wanted to go Poro instead, then that's obviously an option. It does leave you 0 in the bank if you have the similar price kind of in the budget for me, as me. But yeah, that is kind of the same. Like I say, Gabriel Greaves, already spoken about those. Aina. I'm not a massive fan of going Poro on a wildcard draft. I think for 5.6, he probably will go down to 5.5. So if you are on this kind of wildcard, then I wouldn't bring him in yet, because he'll probably go down to 5.5 again and just save you 0.1. But yeah, I think with Madison on set pieces and, you know, him just not getting us forward, especially when Kulusevski's playing as well, I just think it really hinders him as an option going forward. He is a 90-minute man. Obviously, the fixtures are going to be coming thick and fast, so having that 90-minute player that's always going to play is very, very beneficial. But at the same time, I think for his price tag, I'd much rather have a different player. I just don't think he's worth what he's currently set at the very start. He was, because he was getting forward and he was on set pieces and stuff, but now that Madison's been playing really well and obviously Kulusevski's getting starts, it just really hinders Poro. So I don't like him as an option, but you could go that way if you didn't want to go Akanji. And then FaZe as well as just another 4 mil defender, 4.1. In midfield, we've got Saka, Palmer, Rodgers, and Mbeumo and Salah. So like I said, Salah only draft does allow you to get Saka, Palmer and Salah all on the team. I really like the midfield in this draft. I think it's very much kind of picks itself, really. There's not really anyone else I would really go with. Like I say, already spoken about Salah, really. Again, I don't like him on a wildcard 6 draft, but if you really want him, then you could go that. There's obviously no Luis Diaz on this draft, which again is still a player that I think is a little bit up in the air about whether he's even a good option. His minutes are still a risk. You know, Gakpo can easily come on, and he has also overperformed heavily over his numbers, so that's obviously not going to carry on. It's got to stop at some point. So I think Diaz is a little bit of a trap in my opinion, the same as Jota was as well. But like I say, Mbeumo already spoke about, Rodgers, Saka, and then Palmer I think is just very fixture proof. He can score against anyone on penalties. Chelsea look really good at the moment as well, so I really like Palmer as an option. And then the strikers, we've gone Wood. Watkins is in there instead of Haaland. Again, I just could not go on a wildcard 6 draft without Haaland, but again, this is a Salah only draft, which is why he's not here. But you've got Watkins instead, who again is probably the second best striker to have in the league at the moment. And then Calvert-Lewin as well, who has really nice fixtures, should be on penalties as well. I do quite like Calvert-Lewin as an option. The only problem is his injury record, which could be a little bit unfortunate. I mean, he was, I guess, flagged last week, but that was just an illness. He wasn't actually injured. So if he can keep fit, he is a decent option because he's good in the air, he's on penalties, and if there's a goal, it's going to be coming through him or McNeil most likely. So that's your Salah only draft. And then moving on to the Haaland only draft, which in my opinion is my favorite draft. I'd much rather opt for this if I was going to go for a wild card this week. Well, I mean, I am on a wild card this week, and I am going for a Haaland only draft. I'm not going to go with Salah. So yeah, in goal, still Raya and Ward, already spoken about that. The defense, we have Gabriel, Greaves, Collins. We have managed to fit Trent in, but it does kind of hurt a little bit up top. But either way, gone Gabriel, Greaves, Collins, Trent, and Aina. So every single week you'd be playing Gabriel and Trent, and then one of Collins, Greaves, or Aina. I think I'd probably play Collins this week just because West Ham haven't been that good. And then obviously I'd probably play Collins again in game week 7 because he's got Wolves at home. And then you start playing like Aina, who's got Crystal Palace and stuff like that. But either way, that's the back line. Like I said, managed to fit Trent in. I do really like having Trent in this draft just because there's no other Liverpool players. So having Trent still in it just kind of scratches that itch really of not having any Liverpool players. So that's the back line. And then in midfield, we've got Saka, McNeil, Rodgers, and Mbeumo and Palmer. So still able to fit Saka and Palmer in and Mbeumo. And then McNeil's in there just because, you know, I've got 0 in the bank here. So I'd have to go down to McNeil, which I still think is he's a fine option. He's an absolutely fine option. I don't think there's anything wrong with going with him, especially because the fixtures over the long run is very beneficial for him. And like I say, he's a 90-minute player. As I say, with the fixtures kind of all over the place right now, it's nice to just have a 90-minute playing player who rotates well as well with, like say, Rodgers and Raul. And then up top, we've got obviously Raul, Haaland, and Wood. So yeah, there's no Calvert-Lewin. You'd have to go down to a Raul. It's just to fit Trent in. If you didn't have Trent, obviously you could use that money elsewhere. You could, if you downgraded Trent to, like I say, maybe even a Robertson. If I guess that's one way of kind of looking at it. You could go from Trent to Robertson, which would save you 1 mil. And then obviously that mil could be used on Raul to go up to a Calvert-Lewin. And then you would still have a tiny bit of money left in the bank as well, 0.5. So that could be used on anybody really. Like, could be maybe used on Greaves to upgrade into a 4.5 mil defender. Maybe just to have that 0.5 in the bank just for a rainy day, just if anything goes wrong. So I kind of like that as well. Obviously, this is it's kind of like Trent and Raul or Calvert-Lewin and Robertson. And Robertson obviously is a lot less attacking than Trent, and that's the kind of issue there. But at the same time, if you do still want a Liverpool player and you also don't want to put Raul Jimenez in your team, then that's just another kind of option you could go. It's definitely something that I'm looking like. I would definitely like to fit Trent in. I just don't think it's possible without kind of hurting one of the strikers. And I feel like Wood is probably a little bit more beneficial to go over than... I mean, Wood or Calvert-Lewin, really, either of them kind of works, but obviously you'd have to get rid of... one of them in order to keep Trent. So that's the kind of situation really. But that's the different drafts that I've kind of come up with. Haaland, Salah, and then Haaland plus Salah. So let me know your thoughts on these drafts. Are you thinking of wildcarding into one of these teams? Are you thinking of keeping both of them or just one of them? Let me know your thoughts. We'll probably do a updated wildcard draft after all the fixtures have been played this week, because we still have some cup games and stuff left to play. If there's no injuries, then obviously we're fine. We'll obviously be doing the deadline stream anyway, so make sure to tune into that if you want to see the final wildcard team. But that's going to be everything from me. If you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.